Hello, everybody. I'm Steph from the Canadian Schoolhouse, and I am here with Christine, and we are going to share a little bit about our theme this month. So every month we have a content theme, and we get articles from people outside of the Canadian Schoolhouse, as well as some of our staff writers, and we write on we have at least four articles on this theme. So this month in September, our theme is creating a legacy of lifelong learning. And isn't that what you want to do, Christine, too, in your kids? It's not just like, I want them to learn, how to divide and what algebra is. And like that, to me, it doesn't come to my mind. It's more about like, what are you, instilling in your kids that is going to help them really learn throughout their life, right? Because it's really even the learning that we learn more in our adult years that really seems to round us out more, right? To give us, follow that
My son, we were having this conversation just this week about, like we're not just going up to high school and then or college or university and then you're done. Everybody learns something new all the time. Like it's ongoing. He says, even when you're finished school, school, just because you finish school doesn't mean you stop learning. You learn something new every day. And I said, even for this job, working it with the Canadian Schoolhouse, I'm learning new things every day. And it's great, right? It's exciting to learn something new and to realize you can do something that you didn't think you could do before. So it doesn't stop there. And so if they can get that in their head when they're young, that, it's a constant process, but it doesn't have to be a tedious one. We can make it fun and actually love learning.
All right, so go on with that, and let me throw this question at you. Like, how do you be example for your kids? So as teachers, of course, we've got, as teachers of our kids anyway, we're teaching our kids in all kinds of different ways with all kinds of different curriculum. So I mean, really that learning part is kind of easy in some ways, right? Depending on your perspective. But so how do you as a mom really be that example of that lifelong learning? And you really did share a little bit about it there, especially, I mean, that's a great start too, like just having conversation with your kids, and they're never too young to start those conversations. But exactly. Do you have anything else
well, just taking part in it, because so you're not if you've been homeschooling for a couple of years now, that as you teach, you learn also. So when your kids actually see you and like you're actually involved in it and you're actually, I didn't, you express things out loud like, wow, I didn't know this either. This is pretty cool. And then you engage in those type of conversations so they can see that you're getting excited about learning stuff too. Like we just finished, for my 9-year-old, we just finished study on the microscope. And we moved on to astrology. And like, I'm super excited. I love studying space. So like, he's like, really? Like, but it's just planets. But like, there's so much. So then he can see. So now he's, got up this morning and picked up the book and he's like already reading through it. So it's that excitement that you want to pass on. And then when they see you learning, in your own personal time, like you're not, you might pick up a book and say, you know what, I was really interested in this and this, I'm going to learn some more about this. And so when they can see you actively learning as well as an adult, like it doesn't, just because I'm an adult, I don't know everything still. So you're still learning. You don't just arrive and then you're done. So yeah.
I've had this little motto, and I had this even before I homeschooled, or at least homeschooled. My boys were probably young, and I picked this up for my business, to always be learning. And what I was teaching was adults, but business skills, right? So mostly online and marketing and all that. But to always be learning. And I really believe we should be learning until that day we die, right? Yeah. I know for me, I mean, I'm 44 now. Possibly 45. you get to a certain age and I find it doesn't,
you stop counting.
I lose. Yeah, I'm somewhere in the 40s though. I'll know when I hit
That's
50
good enough.
for sure. I won't mistake that, but
40 something.
but that like the older I get, and it's very self-motivated, because I can't say that I got that in my elementary years, right? In my childhood, that you should be learning all your life, right? And you know, I grew up in the public school system, so I didn't have a homeschooling atmosphere. But as I got to be an adult, there was just more and more and more that I wanted to learn. And even now, I find how you talked about kind of learning about space and learning about those things like with your kids. Like that's one of the greatest things I love about homeschooling, is learning things with my kids, because it's actually like a privilege. I really find that right now, like that's a privilege, especially when there's so many parents that I don't want to say this in a bad way. I have a child that I sent to public school, almost his whole, but you miss out on that privilege when we send our kids to public school, and we miss out on that close relationship, that bond that gets established and grows when we're learning with them, right? And I think really that's like a big key to that lifelong learning, and instilling that love of learning in them, right? Instilling that mindset to always be learning. And that's why for me, my most important things to teach my kids is to communicate well, to obviously have a very solid foundation understanding of mathematics and numbers and stuff like that, and then just to explore the world around us, which just and then that covers like science and geography and history and lots of creative stuff. I love doing the art stuff. I actually just found a new art course on Schoolhouse Teachers, and this art course is really awesome. I don't know how I keep finding new stuff in Schoolhouse Teachers, and you know, I've been part of that for a couple of years, but there's just so much. And I think Schoolhouse Teachers, more than a lot of other, and you know, I'm totally biased. Schoolhouse Teachers is a company, it's a curriculum, online curriculum company of the Old Schoolhouse, of which the Canadian Schoolhouse is too. We're a division of the Old Schoolhouse. But it just has so many courses from so many different lesson designers. And I think that's what makes it really unique and why I love it a lot. It's not like I'm getting when I go and get math from there, I can actually choose from several different types of math courses, and not necessarily that, I mean, we've got one, and I think there might be one that's really good just to take as your core. And then you've got all these other little courses that are thrown in there, I shouldn't say they're thrown in there, they're very strategically placed as part of, well, now you can learn about this concept of math. And especially if your kids are having troubles, you can learn about this concept of math. So that was really cool when I found this about art, and I love doing that creative stuff with my kids. I think that's one of the greatest things, to instill that learning, because we're all creative in some way. And it was a quote that we had in our e-blast. I can't even remember if it's one that's already gone out or that's coming, but you should know, because you would have put that quote in there about a Christian is something about being Christian and being creative.
It's Francis Schaeffer, and
yes, oh, good for remembering the name.
I'll have to look. I'll have to grab it. Hang on one second. You keep going.
Yes, great. You can look that up for us and see what that is, because for me, I really grabbed onto that, not just for myself, but for my kids as well, right? Like it was almost something like it's our duty, a very wonderful blessing type of duty to be creative. And there's so many different ways that we can be creative, especially as we have all this time with our kids to homeschool them. We can really draw out that creative stuff, like that stuff about teaching my kids to communicate well. So that covers most of our English learning, right? Language arts learning, and then math, right? That really takes such a small part of time. and even to get into stuff like science. I mean, we do that in a lot of more abstract ways. We'll pick movies that really have an historical element to it, or even geographically, we'll watch documentaries together and watch lots of different types of things, and of course a very solid understanding of the Bible. And right now we're actually watching The Chosen, which I think is like the best learning. Have you been watching that? Have you watched that at all, Christine?
We
The Chosen?
are fans of The Chosen, and I highly recommend plugging that in.
So do your kids like watching it too?
Yes, yes.
Because your kids are even younger than mine, so I wondered if.
Yeah, no, well, my 4-year-old, he doesn't watch anything that we watch at this point, but my 9-year-old definitely, like, he's really plugged in. Like, and he even watches all of the bonus scenes and the bonus videos in the app as well, just because he's just like, this is really cool, like, just to see what it could have been, like, what to imagine the scriptures come to life. So it's a great
real creative outlet.
Definitely recommend.
And I've actually, even with that show, so yeah, we got in and watched all those extras and watched. So for those of you that may not know, go and search it. The Chosen is a dramatic series. So it's based on the Bible. It's based on, so the chosen being the disciples of Jesus. And they're on season 2 right now. I don't think they've done season 3. I haven't quite watched them all that's available yet, but whether you are even Christian or not, you're going to find that it is just so well done, though. The videography, the script, the actors, of course, just trying to bring out that character that they're playing, right? Love how they've done Matthew. I never envisioned a character quite like that. But there's so much that God doesn't let us know in his word about specifics like that. Yeah. And I almost think that's something about what, kind of what that quote was saying. Like, as Christian, we are called to be creative. Wonder, the imagination. Yeah, I didn't think the word creative was in there. A Christian is one whose imagination should soar beyond the stars. And that's wonderful. I even think for that show, The Chosen, right? Really, lots of people involved with that, but they had just had their imaginations soar greatly for all the different things they put into that. So that's just one of those ways, so right there, we're getting lots on history because you're learning lots about how life was at that time. And then, of course, learning about the Bible, making that Bible scene, those Bible stories really come to life visually. And then also, what else was I? Well, I think just communication as well. I think anytime we watch a movie together as a family, it's a great opportunity to be sharing about that and to be, talking about what we liked about it or what we didn't like. And I mean, it's just so simple. It's just like, that's a natural thing almost all families do anyway. Or if you're watching a movie with friends, or even how we just did, right? We're not necessarily watching the show together, but we're both watching the show and we can now share about different things, and just a great way to show that communication aspect, and which is something they need so greatly. And I think that's one of those things that maybe just lacking a little bit in public education for kids to really be able to express themselves more openly, I guess, is sometimes certainly was for me. I was shy and really didn't want to share in that big classroom with all those kids, right? So that can be a little inhibiting for some as well. So yes. I'm going to move on to this next little point we wanted to bring up. So actually, you know what, we really just talked about this a lot. I'm looking at this, things you can do to foster an always learning attitude. And that's, I'm going to go on that, and I want to hear your opinion too on what you do in your home. But that's how I do that, always learning. For one thing, I'm always kind of picking out, even as we're just outside and looking around, right? Looking at what the chipmunks are doing and how they're stealing all our chicken food. And just all the different things that we can just and problem solving. We've had lots of problem solving because we had one chicken that was getting out all the time, and I don't know why the other ones weren't following along with this one hen that seemed to find an escape. And but we couldn't. She'd be out so quick. We'd put her in, and she'd be out so quick that we weren't. So we had somebody. My husband sat there and just watched until she got out, and we found her little hole that she got out. And now, poor thing, she's back in her outdoor enclosure again. But you know, we need to exhibit things like that as we go around our home, and just doing problem solving, life skills kind of stuff. I mean, last month our theme was on family style life skills. I think I got that full name, but really on teaching our kids those life skills, which is so vitally important. And that's great that we kind of like actually just went into this next topic, which kind of just piggybacks on that, right? Creating a legacy of lifelong learning, and we should be learning skills all throughout our lives. So you got anything to add on something you might do to, like, you know, just instill this always learning attitude?
I think so what I'll do is I'll just put the link to one of our featured articles, which is Fostering a Love of Learning. On the you can go through the front door and see that on there. A great one. I like that. And we've talked about communication and stuff like that. And I'm not sure if we talked about reading, but reading together as a family is also a great thing. Like, part of our homeschool curriculum is read alouds. Or reading aloud with your family. And when you do that, then you're engaging in those conversations and asking those questions. And another thing is always encourage them to ask questions. Like, why do you think this is happening? Or what can we do about this? And you have to constantly be thinking, like, how can we solve a problem? How can we fix this thing that just got broken? Or I wonder why this works, and then to go look up something. So definitely reading together. What did I say? Communicating and asking those questions, and play. We always sort of downgrade playing time, but especially when they're younger, under 5, that is or more. I guess it depends on the age, right? But when they just, are given that opportunity to just be creative, like we were talking about before, like art and just playing with their toys and just whatever they do to play, using their imagination, like letting their imagination soar. I mean, my kids, sometimes they go around the house pretending they're dinosaurs, but then at the end of the day, they can tell you what kind of dinosaur they are and what kind of food they're eating, because they were so interested in it that they learned. They looked it up on the internet. They read it in a book, or they watched a little TV show with dinosaurs and they learned. So, like, definitely encourage that creativity and let the imagination soar.
And I think that, like, just that word that came to mind when you were explaining that is just that ability to be able to be immersed in a topic. So yeah, if your kids are really, which dinosaurs is a popular one. I know I had, especially both of my sons to a degree, but one son just even still, if he sees a dinosaur book or something to do with dinosaurs, right, he'll be able to share all kinds of information that he's learned, and he'll still want to look through that, right? So exactly. It is that's just when they really love a topic, like, we can spend a lot of time just being immersed in it and getting different types of like media in some ways, but not just episode media, but just different methods of taking in even more information about that. That's really that really just shows them different ways of learning. Like, that's kind of what I see, that when we can immerse, or even when I want to learn something, right, I immerse in it. I'll get books on it. I love to read, but books, you have to sit down and you can't do anything else. So I'll also try to find something on audio. Sometimes videos too. I'm not a big video person to sit down and watch them. But again, I'll have, I might be doing something in the kitchen, and a YouTube video or a video will work as well, right? And I'll get a combination of, like, free and paid stuff, depending what type of learning it is I want to do, right? And I'll start sharing with other people, and then I get information, just casual conversation conversation, and I'll start talking about, this, oh, like I'm learning a bit about this, and then without a doubt I'll eventually run into somebody that really even has more to share with me, or even just to be able to talk about it out loud. I mean, that's a real beneficial thing as well, which is why we love to hear our kids talk about all kinds of random things. And I really try not to. I've got one that's a real talker. He loves to talk. And mostly I love to hear him talk, but sometimes sometimes you just have to cut him. Okay, I really have to do this now, and I can't listen to you talking. But I want to try to, as much as I can, to encourage that, right? Encourage that talking. Also to know when you can pick up cues from other people that maybe you've been talking too long, whether as a child or as we get to be an adult, right? Like, good to share, but we also need to pick up on those communication skills as well, to show that, okay, well, now maybe this conversation, I should end this conversation, right? I can't always keep on talking. So just like all kinds of areas where they can always be learning, and just where it gets to be more real life stuff than just reading it in, like, I'm kind of thinking, we'll do something in October, November, some little project or another little bit of a campaign like we have on right now for the Family Adventure Challenge. So those of you that are watching, we have that on until September 3rd, so this Friday. And we really just want to celebrate families with that. We want to be able to share a little bit about our lives as well. So you'll see posts from me and Christine and Kristen as well as on our team here, and we want to share a little bit about our lives, and we also want to see what you do as families as well, because just this, and it's all fun stuff. What do we have? I think our last one was Park Days. Oh, we might be on another one today. Do you know what that is, Christine? What's our
today was Travel Days.
Travel Days, right? And we've had history days, beach days,
Park days,
days, a Monday, and there is one more. So you just go look on our page. We're gonna keep you in suspense, maybe. You can go look on our page on Facebook.
You'll see the posts.
Yeah. You'll see the posts. They look quite similar. How do you do summer? And just go and post your pictures on there. We'd love to see that. Use that little hashtag TCS Summer 2021 and celebrate your family with us. We would love to see that. And one last thing I want to mention too is our so we've also got another homeschool leaders, and I would love to do a few articles. Get a few articles on our site. We'll maybe have an article series page on homeschool leaders. So if you can comment now, or if you're watching the recording of this, comment here, and we'll be able to see that on what leaders in the industry. Now, actually, like, who has inspired you to homeschool? And actually, we would love to hear about it, even if it's just like, oh, well, my sister-in-law was homeschooling, right? Or my neighbor, or this woman at church that I just got talking to was homeschooling, and she just really, I would love to hear about that kind of stuff too, because that's as inspiring. But we also have people that have taken that great love of homeschooling, much like we have, to take on this job, and even going and sharing about homeschooling with so many people. So we have an article that we just published this month as well, part of this homeschool leaders, and Dr. Brian Ray. And in our magazine, the Old Schoolhouse magazine, he is a regular contributor. And I just got our new magazines for September, the fall magazine. I haven't opened the boxes yet to see it, but I'm going to let you, I'm going to run over and get one of those magazines and just show those up. But just knowing that Dr. Brian Ray, so if you remember that, I know you didn't write that article, but do you know anything about Dr. Brian Ray and what he does?
I don't, and I have to admit, I still have to read this article. I'm just putting it up in the comments for you here.
So you can go check that out. Dr. Brian Ray is a researcher, is big thing. He's also a homeschooling father. I actually think most of his children are grown up now. I don't think he's maybe currently homeschooling, but he's been in the industry for decades, collecting research and really just advocating for homeschooling. He's spoken various places all over the world. As I said, he regularly contributes for our magazine. I know he does lots of scholarly contributions as well, article contributions in different places. So he is really a leader in the industry of research, but definitely in homeschooling research. So if you have anything you would want to back up your belief that homeschooling is better for your family and it's better for your kids, you can go to that website, go and check out the article and go to his website and see and be able to get just like those homeschooling facts. I know he's got one page on there, and I think we've got a direct link in that article, but even just going to the homepage of his website, being able and seeing all that statistics, and I love data. I really love going to his site, and I'll pull stuff out once in a while, even for stuff that I'm doing for the Canadian Schoolhouse. But I love seeing the stats and that growth and something that just continues to grow and grow and grow year after year after year. We know, like, and I would say since the gosh, I can't remember, 70s or 80s, but like every year since then, it is growing, right? We've seen a really big growth the last couple of years, but for obvious reasons. But even before that, even there being, you know, a fairly stable public education system, homeschooling is growing. And why is that? Well, Dr. Brian Ray has all the data for that. So yeah. You fill in just another minute. I'm going to grab the magazine here.
I've actually heard about his stuff from some of the conferences that I've attended. I'm not sure if you know, but there are conferences, online conferences all the time happening throughout the year. You just gotta kind of find them. Usually they're advertised in your homeschooling groups. But I remember now that someone was doing a workshop just based on all of his research, and it was so encouraging to hear the numbers and the stats for homeschooling versus public education. And it was encouraging because sometimes you think, well, okay, not everybody's doing homeschooling. Am I doing the right thing? But when you see the numbers in front of you, and these are not just random numbers, these are well-researched numbers. Someone has taken the time to get these facts for you just to encourage you, and it's mind-blowing sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And actually, that's how you talk about conferences and that. So you that's watching through the video here, if you've gone to conferences and you've just been really inspired by it, we'd love to we've got a few other names that we're going to do for homeschooling leaders, and they can be people that did stuff in the past. Maybe they're not even alive anymore, because I know there's a couple of people that I really like to do articles on and just share about what they've done for the homeschooling community at large. And but if you've gone to conferences and just had people that you thought was a great speaker, and they really inspired you in your homeschooling journey, well, please share that with us. We would love to do an article on them. And even if it's somebody, you know, I know we got lots of, so we're in Ontario here. And I would love to do video interviews with some of these people as well. So if you could share lots of names for that. And I see, so in our fall magazine, oh, it's so great. I can't wait to sit down and read through this. So it's careers in robotics. So this was
I can't wait to get my copy.
There's our fall magazine. Lots of good stuff in there. Cursive, should we still teach it? What's your opinion, Christine?
I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it. I mean, in this day and age, I mean, from what I've seen other people writing cursive, it's just like either we're not teaching it properly, or because people are just making up their own cursive when it comes down to it. So I'm like, I'd rather be able to read it properly. So I think printing is best, unless you're doing like a signature and stuff. I don't know. I'll probably that article is going to be very interesting to read.
Yeah, you can read that, and I'll read that too. I will tell you that I teach my kids cursive. I think it's still really important.
So do I.
And I think one thing that I love about cursive is that you can write faster. And
true.
Both of my boys are not big fans of writing at all. So actually me encouraging them that, if you learn cursive, you can, you'll be able to write faster. And especially even the way, I mean, I do a lot of typing, getting my thoughts down. I do typing, but I still love to write, depending what I'm writing, or if I feel like I'm sitting in front of my computer and I'm just, that writer's block starts to hit. It's like, okay, well, I just need to handwrite this out, right? And it's just amazing how our thoughts flow. And I'm not sure, I haven't read that article yet, but I think that article, as I've read in other places, will go into a lot what it actually does for your brain development to learn and master cursive, much like music. We don't need to be awesome musicians and take music for some kids, that is what's music is their calling, right? So they're gonna take music really far. But I think music is still really important to teach and have our kids learn music and learn to play an instrument. So lots of things to learn about music, but learn to play an instrument just because of the brain development that happens connected with that. Learning languages, again, the goal doesn't have to be fluent in another language, but to be having the mind getting that workout that it gets from being learning a different language is definitely a legacy of lifelong learning tip. So here is Dr. Brian Ray did do an article, New Facts on Homeschooling. So I'm going to look forward to reading that one as well in there. So you can check out our digital magazine as well. So you can get the print magazine. We still do a print magazine. And I recently heard what our distribution was. We print a lot of magazines still, and in a world where a lot of magazines don't even do a print copy anymore, still doing digital and appealing for that. I think it shows something that we are doing a print magazine. And so print magazine, you pay for it, and you can find them actually in lots of places, not near as many places in Canada as the US. But if you go into somewhere like a Walmart or any place that sells magazines, and if they don't have the magazine there, request that they get that. It's really easy for them to get it. We are connected with distributors that do all these magazines in stores, so you can get them in stores. You can also get a subscription directly through us, but you can read the digital magazine for free. So it's always free. It's always will be free, and you can read that. Christine's popped in the link there for it, but our most recent issue is always at tosmagazine.com. And I think that kind of rounds up all we wanted to talk about, Christine. Am I forgetting anything?
No, I think the last point was just who has inspired you in your homeschooling journey. So we talked about Brian Ray, but I mean, if you have someone that has, it could be someone from your church, it could be a grandmother that has, inspired that whole lifelong learning for your family. Like, let us know. We want to hear your story.
Yeah, completely. And then what do we have on for in 2 weeks? We're going to have our next live stream. So what do we have then?
We are going to talk about how to encourage others toward parent-led education. So if you are wondering how you can encourage your other family members, or maybe you knew someone who was questioning whether they could do this sort of parent-led education, which is what we call homeschooling, we'll help you. We'll help you, give you the tips and tools and resources that you need to help you have that conversation, and just encourage yourself too as well, that you're doing the right thing by doing what you do.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Christine. It was great to meet with you on here today and get to share our theme that we did all that content on. And thank you all for watching as well. We welcome your comments anytime, and also feel free to always message us. You can message us privately as well, or comment on any of our posts, and we'll see that someone from our team and be able to answer anything for you. So you have a great day. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.